So here we are in Google Earth Engine, and the following demonstration is a flood event that occurred in the state of Quintana Roo in Mexico in October of 2020. And this exercise takes two Sentinel-1 radar images from before and after the event and creates a ratio image of the two. A threshold is then applied to identify areas that were flooded. And in this case, we're only identifying open water. The threshold was set purely through trial and error by looking at the values of the in the ratio image, the areas that have a high values in the ratio image. Also, in this case, so here you can take a look. We're defining the images, the time period before the event and after the event. These are windows, and then we're using VH images from descending passes, and this is the threshold. In this area here in this section, we're searching for the Sentinel-1 images, and then for our time frame and area of interest, and then we're creating a mosaic. We're tiling the images to create a mosaic, and we are applying a speckle filter. Here we calculate flood extent. So here we're calculating the ratio image, and the Sentinel-1 images are in decibels, so they're logarithmic, and therefore we subtract. And then we apply the threshold, and there might be some sources of confusion. So what we do is we clean up the classification, and if there are flooded pixels in areas that are permanent water, then we remove those. So this is an additional layer that we brought in, indicating where permanent water is located. Also, if the pixels are connected to 8 or fewer neighbors, then we eliminate those. And we also eliminate flooded pixels in areas where the slope is greater than 5%. And then we calculate the number of pixels that are flooded, and we convert that to hectares here. So here in this damage assessment, we're bringing in additional layers, in this case, population density. So we're looking at the pixels that overlap with population density and estimating the exposed population. And same thing or something similar with agricultural land. We're bringing in a land cover classification that has an agricultural class. And we're looking at the number of flooded pixels that overlap with agricultural, the agricultural class. And we're converting that into hectares to estimate the affected cropland. Here we're displaying the products. I'll show that to you in a little bit. And here we're exporting as a TIFF file and as a shape file. So in order to view the products, first of all, you can view the before and the after images. Here's the ratio image. You can look at your classification results. These are the flooded areas. And then the other ones, you can look at the population density layer and then the exposed population. Same thing with cropland, the cropland classification and the affected cropland. So that concludes this demonstration. You can access the link to this code in the presentation, and you can modify it as according to your area or event of interest.